Good evening, folks. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 41 of the Town End Podcast. The final one of the season, unfortunately. Maybe not so unfortunately for some people. Probably sick of listening to us at this stage. Our second victory in the Brandywell this season. Ends the season with the 3 points. Tight enough for fair. We'll take second any day of the season, second day of the season, or second place in the season, albeit on goal difference. We don't talk about goal difference too often. We're going to bring in the two guests for tonight. We're going to bring in Steph McKevitt, ex-DFC player, but sometimes on the podcast as well. I'm going to bring in an actual footballer as well, a proper footballer in Tiarnan Mulvenna.
How do you do?
I think we'll probably start with, obviously we're going to start with the game, but the overall feeling is that, we finished, albeit goal differences in the way, but on points, we finished second in the season. T, I'll come to you first because obviously you're involved at Oriel Park and with the 19s. As a season as a whole, before we just get into the game tonight, it's been decent, hasn't it?
Oh, it's been, Jesus. You'd snap your hand off for it, wouldn't you, really? Like, if we thought last year that we were going to be getting into Derry, if we won 3-0 tonight, yeah, we would have finished second. But my God, if we realised that we were going to be where we were, probably say, 12 weeks ago, we were probably still in with the old title shot talk and all that kind of carry on. So, we've outshone ourselves again, 18 points, I think, in the difference from last year to this year. A lot more wins, better defensively. I think it killed us probably when Pat got injured then. It kind of shows just we didn't have the big enough squad compared to the big boys. But when we had everybody fit and raring to go, and again, losing players midway through the season and all, big players as well, not just boys through injury. So the likes of Dan Kelly and then obviously Connolly going to Derry. So, and Pat injured, right down your spine is kind of affected. So
yeah,
I think you'd snap your hand off. I think we've seen then coming towards the end of the season, you have Alfie Lewis, if we can get him firing, my God, even tonight, they can talk about all the Derry patchings and all they want, but he was on pirouettes and all around Dummingen and all tonight, nutmegging him in the middle of the pitch and all. It was like he was having his own wee show. So if we can get some big bodies around him, and then Ryan O'Kane and Dan Kelly and all with another Pat Hoban and keep people fit, let's have another go at it and get Dundalk back to where we should always be. So it's I think Stevie's done exceptional in the time that he's had with them, the quick turnaround, the players that he's had to bring in and out. So I think we just have to accept it and get ready to go. I think it'll be another long off season, obviously with numbers and bodies coming in and out, but I think he's done exceptional.
Lads, I don't think we can put it any better. I think we'll end the show there. I think Tiernan summed it all up. That's it. That's 5 minutes. Good luck. Steps, as Tiernan said there, you we spoke at the start of the season, about possible results, cup runs, whatever, finishing third. If we can get this, we can get that. But like Tiernan said, you would have snapped your hand off coming to tonight's match, getting 3 points, and you're within a couple of strikes of a ball from outright second. But we finished second on points. It really is I know I said decent tongue-in-cheek season, but it's been top class somewhat, hasn't it?
Yeah, some of it's been excellent. Like the home form, especially. I know the fans are back and played a massive part in it, but for him to do what he's done, has been incredible. Like he said, he'd limited resources. A lot of the players he probably would have looked at, like the sign, would have already been going to other clubs or agreed to stay on with their own club. So it's just very exciting now when you think of there's Europe on the horizon for next season, back where we should be challenging for titles. And look, he'll have the time now, and we would have been earmarking players even from within the league and further afield now using the Stat Sports link. He'll probably know a lot more about that than the likes of us. But it's just a very exciting now, from what he's built up leading up to this point now. And look, I think we can really give it, I know we're probably getting ahead of ourselves, but we can give it a real rattle next season. Why not? What he's done so far, why not?
Yeah. And just before I just see comments coming in there is a Tony's Pizza going for our last podcast of the season in relation to matches. So there is a pizza going tonight for Man of the Match. So I think that sets the tone anyway. Brian Garton seems to be all over Twitter tonight with Man of the Match. So keep your answers coming in and we'll get you the pizza at the end of the show. Just on tonight's match, it was I don't know if it had kind of had the markings of being a damn squid because of Derry's game next week in the they had one eye on the cup and stuff like that. But I think Derry put out a strong enough squad, even though, like, I mean, yeah, there's one or two missing, and but they've put out a good squad. In my opinion, we've probably had the better of it in the first half, but Derry were definitely in it for the game. They weren't planning on taking a walkover. I know they had kind of half an eye on next week's match, but they put out a team that really gave us a game, didn't they?
Oh no, they 1,000,000% they wanted to win, get into a cup final.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to risk. Michael Duffy has been injured. They don't want to risk. Bats, who we all know can get injury prone. But other than them, Patching maybe is a big player for them. And then Diallo getting sent off, so another big miss. But even bringing on McGonigal and all to get minutes into his legs and all for next week, 1,000,000% they wanted to win. There's not much changes in that team from next week, bar the 2 or 3 that we named. But they thought they were going to come in, win, and I think it would be the opposite. I'd say when they seen the Dundalk team, they were probably thinking, right, nice one. We could probably put on a show here.
Yeah.
To give the fans a bit of high, get into the cup final, get the town buzzing leading into a cup final. Now, I think it puts more doubts in their head. The only doubt that will not be in their head is that Shels lost 4-0.
Yeah.
And their heads are gone. And their heads went.
Yeah, I think they took off. Even Moylan was sort of, I think I heard that Moylan was sort of on the brink of maybe doing the same as Diallo, and they just whipped him off straight away. So, like, Shell's done a number on them in the Brandywell a couple of weeks ago. Just sat with 5-3, 3-2 or whatever it was, sat behind the ball and hit them on the counter. And look, they're going to do the exact same thing. So, especially, I think Diallo's an excellent player, and I think he will be a massive miss, and that just could swing it in Shell's favour next weekend.
Even if we, like T had said there, Derry would have looked at the team sheet tonight from the dog. We're picking out the likes of McCourt there, who hasn't played a lot. But was it a game for him to kind of show why O'Donnell signed him, and then it kind of went all a bit? I suppose we're jumping ahead here, maybe ahead of the goal, but I think one of the flashpoints was the double sending off. Like we spoke off air there about McCourt coming in, T, and it's not like he set the world alight. He was obviously came in to do a job, and we needed cover when he was signed. But do you think he's kind of shown anything to possibly play next season? Do you think he's kind of, I know he's kind of he can play left, right across the back, but unfortunately tonight he's just seen the wrong side of the ref and Diallo as well, and he's done himself no favours really for next season. I'd be thinking more than anything.
I would just say for complete balance of the team, having a left-footed centre half or left-footed on that side, all we have is Leahy available to us. So we'll need Robbie next year. I think he hadn't played from March, maybe February or March when he left Sligo. Wasn't fit. I think he was thrown probably in a wee bit of the deep end when we think of the Rovers game. I don't think initially speaking of the turn here, but I don't think initially it was his fault. I think Sam Bunn jumps out of the gun and tries to press someone when he shouldn't be pressing someone. And then he's left high and dry, 1v1, and he's gone. So, you know what I mean? And I think he picks up an injury in the same time when he goes to do a tackle or something. So, again, just fitness levels, he just hasn't been able to get up to that level. And then Andy Boyle has come in and he's done well near the end of the season with Louis McCarry and John Mountain. He's come back in. So, for Stevie, he probably didn't want to change the whole back four throughout the whole season. So when Robbie did kind of come back, the back four was kind of settled again after Mark Connolly leaving. So he didn't probably want to change it again. And again, after the international break, 4 wins, 1 draw and 1 defeat. I don't think Robbie was going to play much after that. So I would just say Robbie's big thing now is go get fit, make sure he can eliminate all the niggles and whatever he has and just come back. I think he's a really good player, to tell the truth. I've seen him at Sligo, seen him at Waterford, seen him at Bowes. Technically really good, can drop into midfield if we need it as well. And again, for balancing the team, having a left-footed centre half, just even watching, say, the best team in the world, when you watch Man City, when we report compared to when you have John Stones playing the left-hand side, when you have a left-footed player playing now, it's a massive difference to the whole balance of your team.
Yeah, Steph, are we harsh on him because we probably haven't seen a lot from him? And I don't think even the league this season, like T was saying, he hadn't really played a lot, even for Sligo in the last couple of months. Are we probably been harsh on him? I think, he's obviously on Stevie's radar. I think Stevie even talked about before season, before the start of the season, he looked at signing him. So would you expect him to kind of be there or thereabouts for next season? I know he's been sent off tonight. Look, it is bad luck with injuries and stuff, but it's just one of those players that he's kind of on the edge there of, will he be here next season? Will he be in the final shake-up?
Yeah, just on the incident, he was probably trying to make an impression and trying to, show that, look, I'm up for this game and I'm going to get stuck in here. And he probably just crossed the line a small bit with the incident. But look, like he said, he was thrown in at the deep end against Rovers, and he was look, not many people that catch Gaffney when he's a full flight running straight at you. He's gone back the other way, and look, he tried to do him as well. I think just to cut off the attack and ended up injuring himself. But he has been unlucky. Like if he had had a full preseason behind him, and you don't know where he's going to be. T's watched him a lot more than I would. I've only seen him in a handful of games, but he just didn't seem like he was match fit, and he was never going to get the time to get up to speed the way we are going and everything else. So look, I'm sure Stevie fancies him, and he'll want to give him a proper go in pre-season. So it's all about himself. If he wants to kick on and try and break into this team, he has to get himself fit. And I'm sure there's going to be games in pre-season where he'll get a chance. So look, I think he's another option, definitely, and he's good enough to come in as backup, definitely, if Leahy's out. All the other options in the league are like the top end that we'd be looking at are all playing with the big team. So look, I don't think we're going to sign somebody better than McCord to come in and play as backup to Leahy. So I think he is a good option now.
Yeah, he is a player that gives you, because he can play right across, and like T alluded to, he is that option from midfield as well. And look, we have a few players like that, some better than others. We don't want to be caning anybody on the last game of the season or anything, because we've probably done enough this season. But just from jumping from McCourt, who may or may not be here next season, to someone who 99.9%, barring any miracles, somebody else looks from, Keith Ward will probably be here next season as well, just on his goal tonight. I mean, if we just break it, not to get into technical on it, but it comes in from a corner. It's a bit scrappy, but it seems to be Johnny on the spot. It just seems to fall to the right person. I mean, normally you'd find him in a little bit closer in the box, but he's absolutely pinged it, hasn't he? It's just straight bottom corner. It's something like you'd see Mulvenna there, or early noughties, late zeros there.
I needed to run away from someone first.
But he's hit it crisp, hasn't he?
His technique's ridiculous. Technically on the ball, we've seen his free kicks and all, and I think he makes a massive difference when he plays. Like, doesn't he? He's one of these. He just comes on and he just seems that something will happen, or he'll create a pass, or he'll do something. Whether he has 90 minutes for him all the time, it's not going to be that. I think he probably knew that coming back. It was never going to be that. But even for around the group, even with the young boys getting in training, like Wardy's 1 in a million.
Yeah.
So unless, as you say, something miraculous happens, that someone's going to guarantee him probably 90 minutes every week, I can't see him. I think he's very close to Stevie as well, so that might sway things as well. And I think the two of them have very open, honest conversations again. And hopefully, I would love to still see him there, because I think he just adds something different. And again, if there was young boys going to be playing games in pre-season and all, he's one of the boys that you'd want beside you, because he'd just fill you with confidence. He'd give you the ball when you want the ball, and he's an all round just good lad. Like,
yeah, he seems to have that influence. Like we said a couple of weeks ago, I can't remember the game he came on, and you could see the lift he just gave players just by coming onto the field. We'd mentioned the podcast, like we actually mentioned him last season as a potential player. We thought, a player like we badly looking for at Dundalk was somebody like Keith Ward. Not in a million years we think he would be signing for us, but he just seems to have that. Like you were saying, you might get 90 minutes out of him. It'll be once in a blue moon, but for when he's on, he has that influence. Like, would there be anybody else in the field apart from the used to, maybe a wink, give a slow wink there to that one, that could actually, if that ball fell to anybody else, it could end up in the stands or down the street. It's the technique, like T was saying, Steph.
Yeah,
it's different level, isn't it?
Dislocated ankles, more like it. If I try to hit it these days, but yeah, look, I'd say if there was a vote done with all the players tomorrow, I'd say he'd finish top in the whole league of the most likable player in the whole division. Like, anywhere he leaves, he never leaves on bad terms. He's gone from rival to rival to rival all around the league, and like I'd say any of his ex-clubs, I'd love to have him back. He seems like the best character to have around the place. T said he's great with the young lads. Technically, we all know how good he is. He can change a game if he comes on. He can do something magic, and the way he just holds on to the ball, knows when to play it, when to hold on to it. He just seems like a top guy to have around the place. So it's a no-brainer to keep him in there. Squad morale and everything else, like he's even when you see him warming up down the sideline, he obviously warms up in front of the town and in front of us, and he'd be high-fiving the kids, and he'd be laughing about his shiny teeth and everything else. Like, and he's just one of them characters. Like, you just have to love him. Like, he's cult hero, I suppose.
Yeah, that he has that kind of aura about him. It's like he looks like a bit of a mess up, but I mean, when he's on the field, he is different level altogether. There was kind of shocks when we signed him, but I mean, he's had such an influence in the season. Yeah, he might not get the plaudits because he's probably not, he's not the Keith Ward we had a couple of years ago, maybe, but he is top class on his day. But even just when we're talking about individuals, we can talk about the game, but my phone's beeping here. I don't know if you can hear me. My phone's beeping because Brian Garland seems to be all over Twitter tonight. Like, he's come in tonight. He's been on the poster. He's the poster boy for the game tonight on Dundalk's page. He's been colossal. Like, he for someone who's been, like, what are we talking, Steph? When was the last time we mentioned Brian Garland in the game of football? I can't remember the last time he would have got a run like that.
Waterford. Well, the last game was Waterford.
Yeah, Waterford.
And then supposedly it looked as if he got injured, and that was him done again.
That was it, yeah.
Then he played for us. He played for 19s against Pats. The influence he has in the changing room again, even with the kids, like, my God. Just when he speaks, people just listen when he's around him. He wants to be heard in a good way, not giving out, just trying to feed information to a positive group of boys. Like, and he's great. What a career he's had, by the way. My God. I remember when he first came in, like, when he came in from Portadown, it was the first year I was back as well. No way did he think he was going to be getting what he is now. Like, really, like, no one ever thought this was going to be possible. And then even the professionalism, the way he's went away, learned his game, he's recreated himself. Smashing player, like, fair play to him, because I looked down through the list the other day of what he's won and all, and you're like, did he win all that?
Yeah, it is. It's
one of them.
How long he's been with the club,
yeah. Well, 5 league titles, 4 FAI Cups, 3 League Cups, European group stages twice. There's not many people, well, our Sean Gannon's probably 44 leagues at this stage, but but there's not many people who will end a career to what he's had, so massive congrats to him. And then tonight just shows what he's all about. Come in, big game for himself, wanted to go out in a high, didn't want to concede. Surprised he didn't score, because that would have been just him all over from a corner or something. If he just got Darren Meenan to come back for one day, cross it in, slap head off, and then that would have been done. But no, the career he's had. And again, after tonight, there's going to be teams 100% seeing if he can hang around.
Yeah, that was my next question. It's like, Steph, you can take this up as well, but even though he's missed a lot of the season, there's obviously, you're listening to commentators talk for retirement, you hear this kind of crack during the season, but he's probably played a lot of managers tonight. If it's not Dundalk, somebody's going to be looking at him now, even just after tonight's performance. Like, he keeps himself, like, he's as lean and fit as he's been. The man's an absolute machine. Like, has he played himself into somebody's books for next season, Steph, do you think? Or even if it's Oriel Park, we don't know, but it'd be a pity if that is the end of it, and it's been talked about for a long time, but like, he's done himself no harm tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I thought he was brilliant. Even a couple of times he got his head on to the end of something that looked like it was going to be dangerous across the box, and just making clearances, making blocks, and that's the sort of professionalism he pride in his clean sheet, where he made a living off that. Even just driving out with the ball, like, it was nearly like a throwback to a couple of years ago when he was driving out from the back line and playing the ball into even a striker coming, dropping in, or playing it through to the midfielders or out wide. I thought he was excellent. I didn't think he put a foot wrong. You think of little things like, like Stevie taking him off after 75, 80 minutes, to get his standing ovation or whatever. So that sort of, it's like a little sign to say maybe he's not going to be around next season. I don't know if they've had that conversation already or not, or it's still up in the air. I don't think anybody would be asking him personally. I'm sure he himself and his family know what he's going to do. But like, even like if I was the Drogheda manager and he's leaving Dundalk, I'd be on the phone to him in the morning. He told me he's heading to Berlin at 6 o'clock flight in the morning, so he might be able to answer. But I think there's plenty of team around the League of Ireland Premier Division that he could definitely come in. He could have an influence. He could step into a coaching role straight away if that's what he wanted it as well. And he has the personal training background. He knows the game inside out. And like he said, he's an honours list that anybody that ever played League of Ireland will be proud of. And look, he's a top lad, and having played with him Monaghan for all them years. Like, I think he was about 22, and as soon as Dom Tierney, our captain, would be out injured or suspended or not playing, he'd be sniffing around the manager to see if he could get the captain's armband. And that was just a testament of him wanting to show leadership and be a dominant force at the back. And look, he's improved no end. I'm sure Stephen Kenny had a massive influence on him when he came to Oriel Park, and his positioning, and he just grew in confidence. As soon as he got into the team, there was no looking back. Him and Boyler created the perfect partnership, and the stuff that went on to win and achieve within the game is incredible. So look, I'd love to see him hang around for another season again, but I don't know if it'll happen or not.
It could be something, yeah. You could be something, like you said there, you alluded to it there. It could be something when we play a coach role, or you don't know if that suits, but it's the influence probably, like we've seen it there. I think somebody commented there, the impact alone that the players have, it's massive. Probably something like yourself, T, when you would have played, but because you were from town as well, you would have had probably a big impact yourself, Griff, through the years with younger players. And it's like, if you were a betting man, like I know you're involved, you got to be, be careful. But do you think he could play for another year? No, it's not at the level. There's no doubt in the level, but do you think?
I would just say on himself. So if it was me, I just take it as if it's personal. After the year he's had, and if he was going to stay on for another year, he's going to go somewhere to play, isn't he? He's not going to hang around and have another year of hoping to play. So that's what I would think. I would think if he's going to stay on, he's going to go somewhere to play, a bit of coaching or whatever. But yet he might turn around and just say, right, hang up the boots. I know he's doing his B license at the minute with a few of the boys who've done assessments with us and used our 19s. He might take a go at that. And then again, he's a shrewd businessman as well. So he's his fingers in all pies. He could have a business venture up his sleeve that he wants to pursue as well. So I just think the ending tonight would be just lovely just for himself. Sometimes it's harsh just to say, just call it a day. But for me, I would just say after tonight, it just ends nicely, doesn't it? And
yeah,
you have a 1-0 victory. You finish second in the league, done dusted.
Yeah, and it's like you were saying, like what he's won, and it's not like he joined the club when he was 19. He came in, it was in mid-20s. And he's come in and he's kind of won all that. He kind of came out of left field. I mean, probably not a lot of people would have people in the know would have known him, but like not a lot of people would have heard of him when he signed at Oriel Park. So it was kind of a bit of a shock that he's come in and had the impact he's had. But he's been like, it was a throwback, not a throwback. You think he was 45, but tonight alone, like he had the lads in his pocket. Like you'd love to see him another year. Like you're saying,
as well. Good strikers
exactly,
in his pocket, not just anybody like McGonigal, like Conde, anybody up there. There was no problem to him. Like it's just what happens. And again, when we all in the high, we can all play for 70 minutes in the high of coming back from injuries and all. It's just trying to sustain being fit, trying to stay fit throughout the year. But again, I just thought he was excellent tonight. It was great just to see him just back. You could see when he's coming off, there was a smile again in his face. He was just happy to be playing. Where, as Steph says, he loves having the captain's armband. He loves being a leader, being positive around the place.
Yeah,
himself and Morty were excellent. And it just shows what characters are needed within the changing room. It's not just about these 11 players that we talk about every week and the best players, but within the changing room, there's a lot got to do with having 20, 22, 23 good people who are on any given day are more worried about their teammate than they are themselves, and them two most especially were like that.
Yeah, I think there's boys in that change room there that would be almost annoyed if certain players aren't there next season, Steph, isn't it? Like, that kind of impact, and because it's end of season stuff as well, the season that we've had, it'd be a pity to say bye to like, I mean, you're obviously going to be saying bye to maybe, it could be 3 or 4, just depending. We've also got, you'd remember Peter Cherry as well, played tonight, 38 years of age. I don't see why he wouldn't re-sign for another season. I mean, you're probably talking one of the, next to Shepherd, obviously he is playing second fiddle, but when you look at around the league what's there, I mean, he'd be one of the better stand-ins that most clubs would probably snap their hand off to get as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah, like, look, he knows what stage of the career he's at now himself. He knows he's a backup keeper, and look, he's probably to get somebody in, like 99 times out of 100, a keeper that comes in, he'll want to be number one or challenge for number one along those lines. Like, but like, to try and entice somebody to be a backup keeper, because Shepherd's going to be number one after the season, he's after having there. Like, no keeper that wants to play will want to come to Oriel Park. So look, I think it's a no-brainer. If he'd want to stay on, then I think Stevie would be delighted to have him around. I'm sure he's well embedded in Dundalk. His wife is from the town, and he's got his coaching academy around here as well. So look, it seems like a no-brainer. Once he's not going to hang up the gloves, I can't see him wanting to go to another side to go play games or anything like that. So I'd say once he's happy enough to hang around, I'd say Stevie's more than happy to have him there. We've a third choice in Mark Byrne, is just an up-and-coming keeper. So look, I'm sure he'll want to stake his claim and try and improve and make the bench next season. But look, to have Cherry around, his experience, a bit of guidance for some of the lads. Like, he seems to be, look, the goalkeepers union is the old saying. Like, but the lads all seem to be together, as a group. So, when you form partnerships like that, you don't really want to be breaking them up. I think he's there to help Shepherd improve as well. So, look, it's only going to be a good thing. But like, just come back to what you said about like football relationships, and you sort of, not that you don't try and get too close to people when you're in the football game, because people move on for numerous reasons, to move on to a bigger club or more wages or dropping down, or if the manager doesn't want them. Like, it's a tough game to get in, especially when you try and build up that relationship so you have the team morale and you have good players. But look, that's the name of the game. Stevie, I'm sure he's a good picture in his mind of who he wants to keep now at this stage. Look, he said he was going to sit down and chat with everyone after the final game. So look, I'd say most of them probably will be 95% sure if they're coming or going at this stage. But look, it'll all come out in the next few weeks, and it's just exciting that we have a little carrot of Europe to dangle in front of people's faces to try and entice them to come the higher level player. Stevie's more time. He's no pending court cases hanging over his head this time either. So little things like that. Look, I think it's exciting, and I think if he gets the backing and support, I've no doubt that he can pick out the players that'll massively improve us, and hopefully we do get a title run next season.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're going, just if anybody's read it, a lot of people coming in with a player of the year and young player of the year. So we're going to have a look of everybody's in a little bit. We're going to get our views as well. Unfortunately, we got to get Chris Clark's views now. We're going to bring him in a couple of minutes. He said, or actually, bring him in a couple of minutes. I'm doing him a service. I'm literally going to bring him in right now, right onto the screen. Chris,
it's a bit fucking harsh, wasn't it?
You were at head in the game tonight.
Yes, from your sins.
What was obviously you didn't see the Dundalk game. You might have you would have been waxing lyrical on Twitter earlier on, but how did draw to get on? Well, not how to get on, but give us a wee snippet of what the atmosphere was like up there tonight.
Yeah, no, it was quite good. I would say a pretty easy 2-0 victory for them. Finn Harps looked on the bus on the way home, or wherever the hell the rest of the lads seemed to be going, because just nothing was there. There was no bite, no nothing in it. Interestingly, right at the end, I was quite close to Ollie having a couple of interviews post-match, and obviously the questions came up about his future. and what's going to happen. And he said it's really not up to him to decide. He'd love to stay on, but he reckons that it'll be taken out of his hands, which is interesting because it's not something you would normally hear around Finn Harps. It's always like Ollie's there, and that's a given. Yeah. So it seems to be a little up in the air. I suppose they're probably thinking with great plans to move to the Donegal Community Stadium. Do they need a clean slate to welcome in new fans and everything else about it? I don't know, but it was interesting just to hear that bit. I suppose on the LOI TV, I was still able to see Wardy's goal and the sending off incident tonight as well. So like what a hit from Wardy. If ever there was such a Wardy goal, that's it, isn't it?
Yeah, that doesn't sport happen. It just felt perfect. Like that's what we were talking about T and stuff there. Like the technique, just absolute crisp. I mean, it couldn't have felt anybody better, really, could it?
No. As I said, if you wanted to fault anybody, it's Wardy on the edge of the box, and sometimes you probably give out to him that he lashes at it. Maybe it could be more subtle sometimes, but when he's got that in the locker, you're just like, I just hit it, Exactly, and when it comes off, it's spectacular. The sending off, I thought McCourt got away with it, lads. You could clearly see when he threw that elbow and Garts grabbed him and was like, get the hell away from this. When the red card went on, I thought, did he get away with that? And then I could see the ref walking back, and I was like, oh no, he's definitely caught out on this. But what a silly moment. Just the game before a FAI Cup final, and you go and get yourself suspended.
It's crazy. Like to get caught up, and it'd be different if it was 78 minutes, 90 minutes, but to get caught up in the first half and over a match, it's like have you been sent off before, or have you? I don't think you have.
No, not in that. Having local, not in the league, no.
But I mean, Steph, you wouldn't have been sent off either. I'm sure you would have came close playing fullback. But like to lose the head like that within 20 minutes of a game is just criminal, isn't it?
I've lost the head in the first minute. You know that you don't like someone and the ball's in the air, and you'll always get away with your first one, so you can get your elbow nice and sharp and slap some big centre half in the nose or something. But in the 12th or whatever 26th minute now, when the game's like the referees made a few decisions, you either get away with the first one in the first couple of minutes, but once it gets past that, you may as well forget about trying to do it someone, or especially him cup final, whether he realizes or not that it goes into the cup final, or surely they were briefed on it during the week, but mental stuff, and I think it's unfair. I don't think you should miss a cup final. I think it happened Shieldsy, didn't it, a few years ago? I remember sitting with, I think it was myself, Em, and the kids, and he was walking up and down. He couldn't sit down. He was at the back of the stand. He was in the front of the stand. He was with his mum, and it's just wrong.
Yeah,
it really is. I just think it's wrong. You play the whole season, 38 games or whatever, and because you can pick up a red in the last day of it, you don't get to play in the big cup final that you've worked hard for, you know what I mean? Just bring it in the next season, even give them a 5-game ban or whatever. But it doesn't match like a cup final.
Yeah, I think wasn't Shields' even worse because it was accumulation of yellow cards.
It was 8 yellows. No, it was 5 yellows. Now they've changed it to 8 or something, isn't it? Because of him. But I still don't think a red card, no matter what you do, we get to play in 5, 6, 7,000 if we're lucky in this country, and then you get to the Aviva and we get to play in front of 35,000. You shouldn't stop that from, that could have been saying if it was Dundalk today and we were in a cup final and Ryan McCain done something stupid and you were stopping a 19-year-old kid going to play in a cup final because one mad moment. They need to look into that, I would say. Silly stuff.
I was going to say, I always think if he gets sent off in the cup semi-final, then fair enough, he should miss the final. But if it's a league game, it shouldn't transfer over to the cup final. That's just a personal opinion, but for him to go and throw a headbutt and then a kick as well into it, I think he was getting it because the ref had the yellow card in his hand for an awful long time after giving the straight or McCourt, he was getting mixed up, but McCourt I thought was getting away with it because the ref had the yellow card and then next of all he just pulled up the red. When you watch it back, it's even stupidity from McCourt, and look, maybe he's on Shell's anti-post for the cup final or something, and he's thinking bring take out one of their male players or something. But not that I advocate any of that. But yeah, but look, it's crazy for him to do that. Like it's like, especially when he's something so important to play for next week. Like he's going to miss out on a big day.
Chris, we mentioned earlier on, we were kind of talking, we weren't actually doing a lot about the game. The second half of the game wasn't really that interesting, to be honest. But there was, we were talking about players, particularly we were talking about Brian Gartner tonight. And I know you haven't seen a lot of the game, but it's all over Twitter at the minute. Just my phone's still going off, notifications stuff. But he was outstanding tonight. And we're kind of saying, he was taking off. He was saying he was taking off 70 odd minutes, and was that kind of a, the sending off, and where's he going to go next season? Has he played himself into other managers' heads? Will retirement be put on hold? What do you think from just your own kind of what's your own view on it all?
When I seen him named in the starting 11, I said, "Oh, is this the swan song for him? Did he give him a token at the end to get on?" But to hear then he had an absolute cracker of a game. It's like that's typical Garth, isn't it? Takes the chance like that and has an absolute worldie of a game, and you think, Jesus, how do you go without this lad? It depends probably on Garth more than anything, because I'd say, how much football can he be promised next year? Yeah. That might make a decision for him. Funny enough, when I mentioned it tonight there in Head in the Game Park, I said, "Oh, great, he can join Dane Massey here and everyone else, from Dundalk." And I said, clearly there would still be suitors even at his age for it. And he's been very, very unlucky with injuries over the past while too. So a fit Garth, you'd have him in any squad, wouldn't you? He's got those sort of qualities that we were at a time when he was injured and we had lost Connolly. We were kind of calling out for that sort of a character, especially in defence and at the club as well. So they're very, very hard to replace. That sort of player and that sort of character isn't, easily, readily available within the league. So you have to weigh that part up too. And to be fair to Skip, I think when he assembles the squad for next year, if you look at the type of people, and I heard a little, you was talking about Wardy and stuff like that. I don't think it's any mistake that these are the sort of people that Skip brought back into the club, because this is exactly what we were missing last year. To have these characters, to have people who are brilliant at bringing, the squad together, very good at linking back into the fans and the club, and people who get it. And I think that's really come through. And when Garth had to come in and do his bit, and we've he's got a few games this year, unfortunately with injury, didn't get enough, and Wardy the same. These lads come in and you're going to get a certain level of professionalism and a certain level of commitment for them. And I think it'll probably be up to both player and Skip that if there was an offer there, he would probably stay. It will just depend on how much football he might be able to guarantee Garth next year,
Right,
long-winded, yeah. It was.
Sour the conversation, why don't you? Yeah, no, that's what Tiarnan said. That it's
Tiarnan agree with me. I'm not souring anything.
You want as much as he's looking as the knowledge he has and the coaching he could pass on. He wants to play. I mean, if he wants to play, that's you'd expect that's where it'll come from. I mean, look, we don't. I know Steph had mentioned Drogheda, but I'd be interested to see if he does. I think he's, like you see, he's been lucky with injuries. I mean, that's what it comes down to. It's harder to recover as you get older. But look, for who he is,
I think he'd be done.
I'll write that down.
I would say 1-0 up in Derry, clean sheet, happy as Larry, out the gate, great career. He's on his coaching badges. He has businesses to look after. He's a young family. Will he want to be training part-time still up and down the road if he's going to go part-time? You know what I mean? I just think he's had a great... Why sour it if for himself?
Yeah.
Why go somewhere else and then another injury and then having to fight back all this?
Yeah.
If he goes to the likes of Drogheda and all, no disrespect to Drogheda, he's not going to have the physios and the care that he has at Oriel Park.
True.
You know what I mean? He hasn't got Danny Miller on his doorstep. You know what I mean? The Ireland physio for a reason. So there's a lot of things to take into account. And if I was him, it would be the boots will be up. Now, he's a different player from me, but my boots will be up. I know we all love the game and stuff like that, but it happens to everybody. We all get our time that we have to do it. And if I was him, that's what I would be doing.
Have you room on the sideline at the 19s?
Anytime.
Yeah, there you go. That's the offer. We just sorted it out. We bring people together here on the podcast.
Gally the agent tonight. Jesus.
Gally, you asking for guards or for yourself?
No, definitely guards. Definitely. I'm flat out doing nothing at the Bells.
There's only one way to sort it out. Chris, message him there and ask him to come on for the last 20 minutes of the show, and we'll get a definite answer from him on the bus on the way home. Look, there was a couple of players on the bench from the 19s tonight. T. You want to tell us a bit about? Look, I know Manny myself. Played a couple of good couple of games with him with Bay when he was only about 12, I think, playing senior football. He's a smashing talent, and he seems like a great kid as well.
Yeah, so we had him. Obviously, he's been in probably the last, I think it's 5 weeks probably in with the first team. So he's been in training. Obviously, he's still in college and stuff like that. But he's come on, a kid who's been rarely coached, or he just has raw abilities. He's quick, strong, good in the ball. Played as a centre midfielder. We ended up playing him as a centre half. He was really, really good throughout the year. He's got better. He's got physically stronger in the gym, stuff like that. So he's a real chance, someone that we rate highly at the club. And then the other one is Senan, someone that I think the club has kind of been talking about for a while. 17 international for Ireland, played against Belgium when they won 1-0 against European Championships or whatever they were. Done really well, really liked around in the FEI, liked in the club. Local, as he's been with us since, so the two of them are local boys, kind of. I know he's from Coot Hill, but where else would their local club be? I know it's a wee bit out, but as the League of Ireland goes, he's local for us. But he's been with us since he's been 13. He's a grown man already at 17. Left-footed, good in the air, good in the deck, hard as nails, was a boxer as well. So, and then young Owen as well, Stephen's son, was in and around the squad tonight as well. Raw ability, has great raw ability. A lot of coaching still to be done in him. He's only 16 years of age, still in secondary school, stuff like that. But there's a lot more to come from a lot of them as well. Not just them three, we've a lot more in the background as well. We had Oisin Coleman had a great year this year. He's someone that another local, trying to think of the locals kind of around the place. And then we've Dulta Honey, who's another one who's played international football. Then there's a lot like that. We have kind of big hopes for that, can, especially with the European football year, when your squad needs to be a wee bit bigger and your 11v11s become more important. And if we can get them back pre-season, get them fit and ready to go for when Stephen hopefully needs them for pre-season, then it's down to the boys then. As it no longer becomes our problem, it becomes Stephen's problem if someone does well, you know what I mean? So that's kind of the goal for them all. And after a good year, hopefully it shows at the end that you do get rewarded, whether it's not as an individual, but the group gets rewarded as three boys kind of get in, you know what I mean? We had Ryan as well, who was with us for probably the first half of the season without being in the first team. He was with us. Slow start again with us because probably he didn't want to be where he was with us, but then his attitude just changed. He's the most hard-working kid that I've ever seen. I seen him at 15 when we didn't select him at Oriel Park. It's a complete different kid than he is now. Like, he's just tunnel vision, so dedicated to his profession, works hard away from the game as he does when he's at the game, last off the training pitch as well, doing finishing drills or strengthening drills or fast feet work or shooting something. He's always doing something. So he's worked his backside off and he gets everything he'll deserve. Like, so great to see that he signed a new 2-year deal. I'm sure there's probably other people who are looking at him. So we have a lot to, and the best thing is a lot of them were local as well, but obviously there's a few Dublin kids that we have as well that we want to push on as well. So we've a lot of high hopes then again for next year. We had a great year this year, but second isn't where Dundalk would like to be all the time, so we go again.
Yeah, it's good to see. It's great to see the conveyor belt back up and running now, because for a while I think we'd all talked about, you know, when was the last time one of the locals broke in and actually played games. Like there was a lot of times players was making benches and stuff, but look, I know more than anybody else. It's not the same as getting into the team and playing a few games and growing in confidence from that. But like amazing, just keeping an eye on the results and getting to see a few of the games and the game in Tala for the 19th just stuck out in my head. Like just seeing Ryan O'Kane getting the winner and look like Sen and Mull played in the middle that day, and I thought he was very calm and composed, and he was showing a maturity beyond his years. Like you'd nearly think it was a first team stepping back into the 19s to play the game. Like
we ended up changing formation then halfway through, and we put him into the left of a back three as well, just because he's left. But like we were talking about Robbie McCord earlier, we just thought we were lacking someone building out, because we lost 9 players in the window when we were sitting around top, kind of when we were going to push on. We lost 9 players, 6 of them to first teams in the League of Ireland or up north. And then we lost 1 to illness, and then 2 boys went to American scholarship, so we had to try to replace that. And then Sen and kind of went into a back three with Manny and Sean Bannon, just to give us kind of balance, and it kind of helped the second half of the season where we really kicked on. Now, we dropped silly points in silly games, but an awful lot of the time, Pats and stuff like that used a lot of first team players that weren't playing, and maybe we would have got John Mountney when he was coming back from long-term injury. We got Garts after the Waterford game, say, when he was coming back from an injury. I think Paul or John Martin played against that game in Tala after not really playing. But even just coming to mind, I think Tunde from Finn Harps, he went to Pats this year. I think he scored like 4 hat-tricks or something in a row with the Pats 19s or something like that, you know what I mean? So that they were using everybody and anybody that they could. Paddy Barrett played a lot of 19s games this year, Ian Birmingham, so you know what I mean? And that's what we were kind of up against, and that's what shows how good of our actually 19 side was. Like we went literally to the last day with that caliber of boys, like, and we fought hard and again used everybody as best we could and give them as much game time as we could. So we've a bright, again, the 17's done well, 15's done well, 14's done well. So it looks as if it's a wee bit brighter up there than what it has been, because it has been tough. And it's tough when everybody's winning. When the first team's winning, it's hard to break into that. When Stephen was winning, when Stephen Kenny was there, it was really hard to break it. Like, it's the best side that probably ever play in Ireland. So how are you going to break into it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So now we have to just hopefully bed one in at a time, show that it's possible to do. And once you show it once, then it gives the next person that wee bit of confidence that it can be done. And that's all we need.
Yeah, and I think Stevie's sort of been good where he has given people chances. Even we've seen last year, like a Banquet breaking into the Pat side. Like the opportunity seemed to be there more so than like previously as well, which is, like, again, you said it gives them confidence. But if they are producing as well, like, you know, you have to give them a chance on the flip side of it as well.
Yeah. Well, he's not afraid to play youngsters, and you can see that with even the loan signing he's taken, and a lot of the loan signings are even young boys. Like, but again, if we can just show with 1 or 2 boys that they get a chance, I think we can class Ryan as one like that. Not saying that our coaching done it, but he was a young local, and then it shows the next one that it's kind of possible. Like, it can show Manny, right, if I work as hard as what Ryan's working, because he sees how hard Ryan works, and it's frightening. I never done half it, like, so it's scary. You know what I mean? And nowadays you have to be a top athlete. These boys are ridiculous in shape, their form, their eating, their sleeping, everything. It goes down to the finer detail, like, and Manny is really dedicated like that. Sen can be dedicated like that. So there's a lot more to come from. And I know I keep on mentioning them too, say for Sen and Manny, but they're the ones who are closest probably at the minute. But there's 5 or 6 right behind them that I wouldn't be surprised that people start talking about next year as well. Like,
T, just on, I know you mentioned Ryan O'Kane, obviously, and he'd be the one that's getting mentioned. Obviously, we're no strangers to praise them on this show, but like, how good, like, obviously someone who's coached him, someone who's had him up there, like, how good could he be? How, like, not to kind of, we don't want to put him on a par or anybody, but are we looking at someone that's absolutely top class?
Oh yeah, he's really, really good. Like I don't like to build kids up because a lot of it there gets, things get published out of hand and silly stuff gets talked about. The kid has his work ethic. Again, like I said a minute ago, I didn't sign him for the under-15s at Oriel Park. We had Val Adadukin, who went to Brentford, stuff like that. Anthony Moiwa, who we still had. They were just ahead of Ryan at the time, and unfortunately, he wasn't signed. And again, people might say, "Oh, that's what." It probably helps him. He goes away. He's worked hard, so he's got knockbacks the whole way along. So you can see he's resilient in that kind of way. But I can't commend him enough. I haven't seen someone work as hard as that as a kid. Like I always hear Ronaldo stories about he's last out and he's non-stop. He is non-stop. Like he trains his arse off. So he's dedicated to his profession. I think he's a good family background behind him. That obviously his granda and stuff like that. So he'll be level-headed. He's a well-liked kid around the group. He doesn't jump out of the box. He's not loud. He's not boisterous. But then his football and talent, 1v1. Like we can talk about Cameron Dummingham saying one of the best. We shouldn't have let him go or stuff like that. Right full, he's unbelievable. I think Ryan McCain, anytime he was 1v1 with him not this Derry game, but the last Derry game, had him on toast. His 1v1's frightening. The one thing if we're going to be critical, he needs to get more goals, more assists if he's going to be an attacking player. If we're going to be talking the likes of Michael Duffy and Darrell Horgan, stuff like that, them boys scored goals. Darrell's goal against Cork, running the bench, scoring, stuff like that. Mickey Duffy was scoring every week when he had Pat Hogan. I think there's still wee bits of work like that probably in him. His positioning when the ball's on the other side of the pitch, if he can get between centre half and full back, that he's the one it's not even goals, they're tap-ins, like, you know what I mean? They're the goals. If Stevie seen him scoring goals like that more than beating two players and curling it into the top corner, I think he'd realise that it's working, because once you get a smell of a goal and you get hungry, I think he could score play, because he's technically really good. He's the left and the right foot. He has loads of ability. He's strong. He's core strong, so lightning quick. So he had the world's at his feet, really. And I think it was great that he actually just signed the deal, because I'd say he could hang out and he could have got a move, and would have been the right thing for him. Who's to know? Like, but it was great to see that he said, he's going to back himself. He's going to back himself to stay and play. It just shows testament to the kid, doesn't it? Like, so. But he's really
I'm just going to take off the Ryan O'Kane segment of the show there. Just going to make sure I take that off there.
Tiernan, just at the start of the year, though, when you had Ryan as part of your squad, like, did you see a player that could potentially play what is this, 14 starts or something, or 14 appearances for the club? So you've seen a massive progression already this year.
Yeah, Jesus, like I'm not going to I take no credit for it. But I don't lie about it either. Like one. I would have just seen that he was a good player. He was a good local kid that he worked hard, but I didn't see what I see now. Like, no, obviously you see flashes of brilliance in training that he can go past people and stuff like that. Like, but I didn't foresee what he's done this year, and I think it's probably been unfair to Ryan, whether it's helped him or not. Like when Pats went out, I said at the galley just beforehand, the last 10 games is Ryan has carried Dundalk, like, and it shouldn't take a 19-year-old kid to have to do that. I'd say 4 or 5 games ago, if Pat was fit, Stephen probably would have liked to take him out, give him a rest, and put him back in for the last 3 and say, right, finish the season on a high. But he's been the one that's he's the one, like the whole town, like every week, it's Ryan's man of the match, it's Ryan's player of the month, it's Ryan's this. And maybe it's unfair. And I'm kind of old school. It's probably a wee bit unfair in him, but he just went with it. Doesn't faze him. He's just going with it. He's enjoying it as it's happening. And fair play to him, because it could have gone the opposite way for him. It could have been hard, and he could have been thinking too much, but he just let the football do the talking. And again, it's all from his own hard work. Like, and obviously Stephen and Podge and all his work on the pitch and all with him, and he's listening, absorbing it better than probably what he was. Now he's a wee bit more settled within the group. So instead of trying to impress all the time, now he's just trying to learn. And again, he has trust. He's gained trust from the group. So
it just comes across like he's very humble, and he's his feet in the ground, and he's talking about, playing for Dundalk in Europe and getting better each week. And if he wins man the match, he wants to win another, and not like strutting around the place. Like he just wants to keep improving and going from strength to strength. So look, I think the ceiling's very high for him. I don't think there is a ceiling from there at the minute anyway.
No. I think he has loads left in the tank. Like, he's a 19-year-old kid. as I said, it'd be great if he could score double figures next year and probably have double figures in assists if he's starting as much as what he's played this year. Again, obviously, form injuries and all come into play, but I can't see no reason why, because he has any amount of capabilities of still progressing. Like, so he's flying. He's in a really, really strong position. He's still at home. He's close to home. He doesn't get homesick. You know what I mean? A lot of these small things will come into play. So it's massive that he's around a good group of people. And even at the club, there's good people with him.
Yeah, Tiarnan, look, you've been really good with your time tonight. We do appreciate it. But before, you can have a think about it now, but we are going to press you for a player of the year at some stage. But the question I just wanted to ask, Tiarnan, we previously last year and even at the start of this year, we were talking about academy structures within this league and how much investment is really needed in this area. What I right in saying that probably the majority of your under-19s this year, they've probably only know the academy structure as it is now, would they, in the League of Ireland?
Yeah. Well, a lot of them are been with us since the 2018, is it? So the first 2005, 2000 under 15, the first season that kind of come in. So these are the first group that we kind of had.
Yeah.
So nothing has really changed within the academy structure within the league or even within our club. Yes, there's been small progressions with the YDC and stuff like that, and video analysis in the gym and inside. This season we were a lot better with Andrew Morrissey. He works with Stephen in with the international setup with Stat Sports, and he comes in and he does ours on our side. So having someone like that within our group, it's been top class. So stuff like that, it's progressing all the time. Our Dundalk still a wee bit off it, yes, but I think this European venture will help again. I think there's better people around this time again to invest it a wee bit better and have a wee bit smarter of not the American. No, the Americans had loads of money, but it was just madness. Like, you know what I mean? There was just we'll not go back there. But there's just structure. Even the last time in the European venture, I just don't think the academy thing was thought of as much as what the first, like everything was first team based, where we're led to believe, and we hope to believe, that it's a wee bit different this time. It looks as if it's a wee bit better this time. There's academy director that we never had before, so Derek Boyle's there. Then we have Martin under or just above him, and then it just seems like we're a more collective group this time around than where we were previously, like where it was just I had one team and it just ran that way, and the 17s had their team, or Burnsy had the 19s, I had the 17s, and it was more just like a group of individual teams, where this time it's a wee bit more structured. It's a lot more, there's more cohesion throughout the place. There's more players going up and down and playing at different levels. And the academy within the place, we've a structure. What I know at 19s, what Stephen's doing and set piece and stuff like that. We're trying to get into the boys, so it's an easier transition into the first team from the 19s. So there's a lot of stuff like that. And again, next season will be better for it than this year, as we've learned a lot this year of what Stephen wants compared to what we want for next year. So again, what he's tried to do without this season, I'll try to implement into next season as well. So there's a lot of learning still to go, but the structure's a lot better than what it has been throughout the year. Yeah.
And the technical ability of the players, have you seen a difference maybe even in that? As in these guys are they're embedded within that academy structure. They understand what's been asked of them all the time. It's probably, you can probably see it in the technical ability, can you?
Oh no, technical, and even the absorbing information when we're trying to talk to them. The kids are I think kids now are more adapted to taking on knowledge when they're talking about football knowledge of the game, even football language. They're better absorbing it in now than I know when we were kids. We were just told to play in a certain way, and sure, whatever happened, kind of the result was the result, wasn't it? You know what I mean? Yeah. But now it's about keeping the ball and even making runs for other people, or trying to stand in spaces and hopefully dragging 3 people towards you when it's not even for you and stuff like that. So shapes and formations can all be talked about, but it's actually for what reason is actually everything happening for. And again, this year I think kids have absorbed a lot of information, because we've changed throughout 2 different formations throughout the year. So it was good to see that they actually took it, and results didn't change, but the style of play kind of changed. And it was good to see that the results didn't change while that was both happening, because if we changed and the results went flip-flop, kids kind of go against you then, you know what I mean, thinking, why the fuck did we change? So they can be the best thing about 19s. Well, they're 17 and 18s really, like, but
Yeah.
they can be brutally honest as well. They'll let you know, and that's a good thing. Without getting into the men's game though, because the next level for them is brutally honest as well. Like, because if they're going to be getting into training with Pat Hoban, and 100% he's a hard man to please. So if you don't give him the ball into his right foot when it should be on his right foot, you're going to be know about it. So if they can be hard on us and we can be hard on them, and it makes us both learn at the same time, then it'll only benefit them for going into the higher levels then.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, T, we're gonna put you on the spot now, and you're gonna have to give us. Will we give them the 3 questions or just the one player of the year?
Oh yeah, we'll definitely get his player of the year anyway, and we can talk about the other
See how it goes.
Yeah, player of the year, T. Who you
Pat
shouting
Hoban.
for?
Pat Hoban.
Ooh.
It's only Pat Hoban. You can see the difference in the team when he's there or not there. He's the best striker that the league has ever seen. His most goals for the club is very shortly that's ever going to happen. So there's only one. Every other club will want him. There's no other player in our team that anybody could say that. It's Pat Hoban. Simple.
Do you think Connolly going to Derry and Pat Hoban, do you find Pat Hoban missing more of an issue?
Yeah, because no one, the way Dundalk play, if you walk back to the first 10 games, right, and you watch how hard Pat works and he presses, and Stephen's game has a lot got to do with the press and how hard Pat works and still has to score. It's like watching Gabriel Jesus with Haaland up front. So he worked his balls off, but yet he's still the man that has to put the ball in the net and score 20 league goals. So, and again, he's a lot better of a passer of the ball than anybody ever. You can even see when he came in today, dropping into as if he was playing centre midfield today.
Yeah.
And still linking up play. There's no one, he's the best player in the league by a million miles. By a million.
He's part of the forward club here though. You say you're voting another striker and you say, I'm joking.
No, there's no one close to, there's 1,000,000%, there's no one close to Pat in the league.
Yeah.
You'll have to cut
that
that
opens
one.
up that
People talk about Jack Byrne because he plays an odd pass here and there. But he doesn't affect the game as much as what Pat Hoban does, or affects a team as much. They still won the league without Jack Byrne playing 10 games this season or something.
Yeah.
Dundalk would have never won a league if Pat Hoban wasn't there.
I think the results kind of probably proved that how key he is to the team. When he wasn't there, we really struggled. T, then if I suppose the next one we were asking them was young player of the year. Now you might have a couple of we might assume that we think we might know where you're going with this one, but for yourself, who would you?
But it depends on the age category, then, doesn't it? Because
I knew he was going to say that.
The Premier League goes to 23s, mad stuff like. Now Ryan deserves a lot of praise. Ryan deserves a lot of praise in what he's done and all, but Nathan Shepherd, I think, probably deserves. If I'm giving Pat that, if I give Pat that, then it's Nathan Shepherd has to get the other one. Then,
I thought you were going to try and stretch the age limit out so you could get Pat under that one as well.
No, he just went over 30, so I can't call him as a young fella anymore. It's all right. No, but I think if Nathan's been accepting. Now, we all seen. I went to the Bows game in pre-season, left work, and it was 5-0, and I was like, "Oh my God, what's happening here?" So going from that to what's actually happened, I'm massively surprised, but delighted at the same time because, again, my wee fella went to the camps and all, and he loves them. That's all he says. Nathan Shepherd comes in. Suppose he's great around all the kids. He's good around all the players, and he's been exceptional. So if there was going to be a Pat's player of the year, then Nathan Shepherd's next,
Is there any real standout moments for yourself, Tiarnan, this season?
Derry, Pat Hoban header, isn't it?
It seems to be coming up. It seems to be mentioned. Yeah, it seems to be the
place. I'd never seen Oriel like that in a long time. It was just, I think the whole place just went. It just lifted off, and it was just deadly. Like the wee fella there. It's good. It's class. That's what I felt. I just felt Oriel was back then. I know we say, we got fans and all back, but that was a big goal near the end. Big header. Big players decide big games, don't they? So
that's it.
Yeah, class.
What's yours? Go on. What are we talking? Gally, give me yours then.
We might as well go through this whole section. Tiernan's hosting it now, lads. I'm loving this.
Yeah, but I would. For me, I think unfortunately I'm going to be copying. I just seen a lot of people put up the thing, but I would have Nathan Shepherd as player of the season. That's because I went from the other way. So obviously Ryan O'Kane was the only option for me, a young player of the year. But you could have flipped it, probably give Ryan. But for me, it's Sheps. Yeah, like I see the argument, and I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't see the argument until you mentioned it, Pat Hoop, and I didn't because he's been out for so long. You kind of forget. Like we talked about Pat earlier in the season, like the influence he has. Like he genuinely is nobody who does his job as well as him anywhere. And I don't even think I've seen anybody at Oriel Park do it. He is phenomenal. But I mean, for me, you know, an honourable mention to Greg Sloggett as well. I think Greg Sloggett's been very under the radar this season. I think he's been excellent. But it's Shepherd for me, a player of the year, and then it's Mr. O'Kane. It could only be Ryan O'Kane. I could have went either way, really. You forget what age Nathan Shepherd is. But yeah, O'Kane, Ryan for young player of the year. You'd have to come back on moment because I'm torn between 2 or 3. Like I might have to come back and do that one on a separate bit. But I think we just do the players now because I'm torn between 2 or 3. And I'm trying to think of my mind as we're talking. Chris, since you come in late, Chris, we'll go to Steph. We'll go to Steph first.
Yeah, look, I think Sloggett had been very good, and there was a run of weeks where we seemed to just be giving Sloggett man the match every week there for a while. Shepherd's highlight reel is they'll probably get him moved to Champions League club if someone just went through his video clips of some of the saves he's pulled off this season. But from going from being up at Oriel at the Malone Cup game to where he is now is like 100 miles away. Like he's progressed. He's even come out in himself. You see him barking at his defenders like a good goalkeeper should be. But even some of his distribution's been brilliant as well. So look, I think I know what he's saying with Pat and stuff like that. But if he played more games, I think he's up there again, definitely. But I don't think he's played enough games for me to get player of the season. And you know what, like how badly we've performed without him in the team. So I know how important he is to us being successful. But I think Shepherd probably just gets it for me, just for some of the big saves. Like it'd be interesting. I'm sure somebody out there has totted up how many points he's probably saved us along the way.
James Rogers will get you. Don't worry.
James will have that.
Exactly. He has it sent to you already. Don't worry.
He's typing at the minute. He's typing. And then just for his impact alone, I think the last many games he's played, I know it's only been a half a season, but Ryan O'Kane, just the impact he's came every time he's got the ball, he's looked so dangerous. And you know, when he's just the last couple of weeks he's picked up a few goals and a few assists. And look, I think that's him up and running now. I think he will be a mainstay in the team next season. I think he's just going to go from strength to strength. So look, if like T said, if you take Pat out of the team, if you had to tuck Ryan out of the team, we're probably looking at a 4th or 5th place finish maybe. So his importance the second half of the season has been immense, and just, you know, we have to give a local a vote as well. So but I think he's fully deserving of getting, if he got Young Player of the Year, and he's been voted for Player of the Month recently. So look, that's just a testament among the whole league, like that he's in the mix. Some fantastic players in there, and look, I think he's magic. So
hopefully he gets another 21 cap as well. Will he? Will he get into that? Will he?
Yeah, he should. I don't see there's any reason why not. Anytime any of the commentators on RT, Pat Morley, I think he was trying to adopt him as a son after the Shelbourne match. He was raving about him. So just going back to moments of the season, and I don't want to steal tease. So the Shells, the late winner, McCarry crossed it in for John Martin. I think the place lifted off there again, and the little moments like that probably stand out for me throughout the season.
See, now I'm going to look like I'm copying everything else now. I hate when you come last on this.
That's why we left you to last.
That's why he was delighted when T started off and called my name next. I was loving it.
Yeah, look, and it's probably similar to what we're seeing a lot of the comments. Sloggett probably had his best season for us. I think he stepped up and at the start of the season, he was filling in multiple positions, and it was hard to see the best of Greg. But I think he finally got settled into a role, and particularly when Paul Martin was there, they seemed to kind of complement each other very, very well. But I think I said Paul Martin, I meant to say Paul Doyle. Yeah. I was thinking ahead. But for me, it's Nathan Shepherd. I just think of the trouble that we had in goal last year for a young lad to come in like that, and Steph, you were mentioning it, at the very start of the season, we had two centre backs, and in particular, Connolly was kind of giving him a mouthful, and, you could see he probably took that on board, and his quickness off his line is immense as well. He nearly plays as a sweeper keeper so many times. And for me, also, my moment of this season was that save against Shamrock Rovers. It's that moment, like straight after that, suddenly there's a song for him in the shed and everything, and I think when you get to that point as well, when you're being idolized by the fans, I think it says a lot about him. And for a lad so young, it's amazing. But for me, Nathan Shepherd is my player of the year, and going to copy everyone else now with Ryan as well. Just the impact, more so than anything, on the tail end of the season. T, you've mentioned, we probably, he's carried the team when he really shouldn't be, when he's so young. We mentioned it last week at the Bows match. There's one stage Ryan had the ball and there was 3 defenders around him. I think that already shows the sort of reputation that Ryan's getting, that, Declan Devine had highlighted. When he gets the ball, we need to try to get on top of him. And he still managed to wriggle his way out of it as only Ryan could do, but I think that's going to say a lot about him and his ability, that that's already been talked about, 13, 14 games into his senior career, and he's getting that sort of a reputation. So yeah, Ryan O'Kane for my young player of the year, and I've already done my moment, so I've wrapped up everything. T, back to you now for your moment.
Well, my moment is still back over Derry head on.
Oh yeah,
I think I'm probably
who got out of this. Yeah,
I know, and I'm probably going to have to follow suit. It's hard to, even if you take even the last couple of weeks to strike, if we're talking about goals, for instance, Alfie Lewis's strike a couple of weeks ago in Oriel Park was sensational. Even some of Keith Walsh's distribution and passing, but T's right, when you think of that Hooban goal, it's hairs in the back of the neck stuff. It was an absolute colossal moment. And look, Shepherd's save, he's pulled off. I actually think I remember a save, I don't know if it was against Derry. I can't remember who was playing, but I down at the bottom, practically in the net, down at the bottom of the post. But it really is hard, especially when we're talking about Pat, we're missing the tail end of the season. It's hard to get anything bigger and better than that type of moment.
The other only moment that goes close to me is actually the first Derry game when Stevie was back. I thought, then I was thinking, Jesus, I thought we were going to be flying, because they spent big again, didn't they?
Yeah,
and I think we battered them that night. I think it ended up as a draw, but we were a lot better than them.
And even if you take Connolly's goal that night, the crowd that night when Connolly scored as well, and he was well up for them. I remember himself and Alan Rellens nearly getting into it on the sideline. He was celebrating. But yeah, the Pat Hooban one, it's probably just nudges ahead of a couple, but there's been plenty. We've had plenty of decent games this season, decent goals. When you moment of the season is Pat Hooban, but then you look at the Alfie Lewis strike a couple of weeks ago. That's probably goal of the season as well. So you're kind of flipping and flopping between the two. But yeah, I'm gonna completely rip off T there and just take his. Which is going to go with that. This side of the podcast.
Steph, don't leave me hanging now.
Copy and paste.
Yeah, copy and paste. Get it done.
Steph, your moment.
My moment, I said John Martin's header against Shells last couple of minutes. There've been a bit of back and forward between Duff, I think, had been sent off, and everyone thought the game was dead, and we were sort of in a position in the table where we are like, are we going to be mid-table? Are we going to challenge? What are we going to do here? And then we come up with a late goal, and you can't be the last minute goal. So I don't want to copy the two lads and say Pat with the winner against Derry. So John Martin just sticks out in my head. Super cross from McCarry, and I'd say McCarry grew in confidence from that and said, look, this is what these Oriel nights are all about. It just seemed like a special moment.
Lads, Lewis McCarry is one that we didn't talk about for either of those two, and he very easily could have been in either of those two categories.
He was probably next in line and young for the young player here for me, but okay, and just bled. But yeah, McCarry's probably gone unnoticed. Really, like it's a pity we probably won't see him next season, but yeah, he's in top class.
Like when you think it's his first season, like he's just gone straight in, like his first senior season, like he's been playing with the under 18s or under 19s at Stoke, and he's gone in and played his first season as if he's been playing about 10 years, like, and playing right full, made it his own, coming up with assists like that, and a couple along the way, getting his first goal against Finn Harps, which was a cracker of the goal, which could be on the short list for goal of the season as well. And they could slot in at centre half as well, and he's belied his years really.
I think it's helped him Mountney coming back, to tell the truth. I think he probably helps with someone like that that's on the right of him, and then Boyler was beside him, and he could go in and see the game a wee bit different in centre half. It would probably do his career massively going forward, because if he could end up probably playing the back of a tree as well. You know what I mean? He's a really good player. He likes to come inside an awful lot and play balls through the lines as well. So he's done really well. Someone who came in under the radar as well when we needed probably a couple of defenders in. And then when Mark Connolly kind of went, he's been him and Boyler have been the only two that's really hung in there. I know Boyler probably hasn't had his best ever season, but he's still been one of the mainstays of the whole year, you know what I mean? And it's hard when you're the only one of a chop and change in back four of every week. Sambone, or is it McCarry, or is it John, is it Garts, or it's not easy when that's happening and you're the only one that's probably left in there, you know what I mean? And trying to glue it all together. But McCarry has done, he's in with a shout of young player of the year as well. Like
yeah, and I think probably going forward his best position probably could be as in a back three, the right hand side of a back three. Like I think that'd probably be nearly made from that position, and he'll just go from strength to strength. The season behind him, and look, if they can do it and they try and get him back another season, like is he going to go back in halfway through the Stoke season and make an impression there, or possibly come back to us? That's look, if you're Dundalk, you'll be trying to hold on to him, I'm sure, try and get him back in.
The Stoke's not doing great at the minute either, and they might just opt for a wee bit of change as well and give him a chance. You know what I mean? So for him, you'd love if he, or for us, we'd love if he come back. But if it was for him, you'd love to see him actually going and making an impact for Stoke and saying that Dundalk have made an impact for him. You know what I mean? So, and
I suppose that opens the door for other people to come in and say, look, there's the proof. Someone's come in on loan and they've got back into a championship team. Like, so, look, it's positive for everyone. He's done his business right, and he's made the most of the loan deal as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're hoping then like as much as we want to be selfish and keep him, you look, like T was saying, you know, for him to go back on the back of, it was the same when Hector was here as well. He went back and went from strength to strength. Probably didn't make it as much as he should, but yeah, you know, benefiting from loans at us, it only bodes well for the club for next season when we go looking again, you know.
Yeah,
I think him and Carl McHugh kind of, you know, really grasped that loan opportunity that we had, you know, and when Fozzie kind of got them in there and got a chance, and like I say, you think how much Michael Hector in particular kind of kicked on, but look, Carl McHugh carved out a decent career for himself too. So, you know, fair play to both. That's how the hell are we giving away a pizza tonight?
Well, we can use it for the wheel and just give away to random as well. This magic wheel we have. There is a couple of man matches in, but I think we got sidetracked by Player of the Year. I think a lot of people got sidetracked by Player of the Year, the stuff.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, I did see someone went.
Hang on.
Shepherd, Player of the Year, Ryan O'Kane, Young Player of the Year, and Hooben's goal against Derry. That's kind of nearly got everything.
Sean Milbury. Is that Sean Newbury? We go again next year. Come on, the town.
There you go. He's got a bit of everybody's in there. So keep him happy. Give him his pizza.
And he can revolute me that 20 next week.
There we go. That's done and dusted then, is it? Happy?
We go with Sean Newby for the pizza.
Congratulations.
There you go. Tiernan's pick tonight.
Well done, Sean. Make sure you get chips, Coke, chicken burger, all that jazz. Plenty to help for the boys. Keep them busy.
What about the jerseys? Are we spinning this wheel?
Yeah, so this is the magic of the night, because I don't know whether this is going to come up or not, because it's a nice,
wait for this part.
Just to cue it in, anybody that's watching, it's on my laptop, so I don't know whether this is going to work or not. So I'm going to attempt to do it. It's going to go onto the screen, and then I'm hoping Chris is going to be able to take over then when I put it on. So we'll just see here.
I'm not doing anything. I would you to fuck this one up.
While he's doing that, Chris, you want to tell him whose name come up whenever we done the test run?
Yeah. In typical fashion, you got one of these random one that picks everyone's names all in, and this was all the people on the podcast who listen and watch in. They all contributed, and we were able to sponsor 2 players up in Oriel this year. I said, well, sure, I'll stick it in. I'll do a random before we actually have to do it live. Of course, Steph McKevitt wins for a jersey.
You can't win.
Yeah, it was a real father-head moment.
Now, Chris, if I share this, does this pop up? I need you to tell me what you see, because I might see something different.
Right.
If my name comes up, Ross will...
Whoa!
Can you see that?
Hey, Gally, you're in.
Ross will stick me in a headlock and take the jersey off me if I win it. So,
right. So we've 2 jerseys tonight. So obviously, Greg Sloggett's home jersey, and then we've got Runar Horga's away jersey. So we'll do Greg first.
Now, quick question: do I have to go back in and spin? Am I spinning this, or are you spinning it?
Yeah, you're going to spin this.
That's okay. That's all right.
Yeah, you click and spin there. Go for it.
All right, we'll go for it. This is for Greg Sloggett.
Lads, if it's one of us on the pod, I'm going to just.
Right, here we go.
Give it a good hard spin now, Gam.
I can get the Marty Whelan spin.
Make sure it gets the 3 lights.
There we go. Here
we
go.
Oh,
you're joking.
No, I knew it, lads.
You're joking.
Didn't I say it?
Wow.
Sure. Is there a Steers inquiry there, or are we happy enough?
I just say the first one was just making sure it works.
Maybe
right.
So.
Yeah, I like Tiernan's take on that.
I don't think Donald will mind. We'll go
again. If Hanks came on, I would have given it to him.
He's enough of them. He's enough, Jared.
Right, we're going again. Will we see now? Hold on.
Go for it.
There we go. That noise.
Oh, that's a better spin this time.
Oh, yeah.
You even got the noise this time.
Oh, David Lennon.
Why? Well done, David Lennon.
On the show.
Well, so David gets the signed Greg Sloggett home jersey. So for Runar Horga.
No, that's my fault. I should have actually removed David instead of closing it. So if David comes up the next time, he can't actually win the next jersey. He should have actually been removed from that. That's my fault.
That's no problem.
So we're going to spin again. This is for Runar's away one. There we go. Yeah. This is very technical. The winning streak doesn't have a look in.
Has to land on white.
Yeah.
Oh, Stuart. Brian Kelly.
There we go.
Well done, Brian. So you've got the Runar Horga away jersey as well.
Fair play.
Donald Hanks will be at the 2 visitor doors.
Yeah.
He won't even, eventually not even watching.
We'll buy him a bottle of whiskey, be all right.
Yeah. It would be up like like Paul Gascoigne with a couple of cans in the hand or something that's ready to have a fight with us.
At the KFC and the fishing rod.
Yeah.
That's the wheel of mayhem going. That's great.
Right. You happy with that now, Gally? Worked out.
I'm delighted. I tried to get the crest on it, but it wasn't happening.
It was good with the thing in the middle of it.
The pressure when I asked you, what time was kickoff? 7 o'clock. And I asked you to do that because I was at the match. So fair play.
Yeah, I ran it up just before. While Tiarnan was waiting for me to jump in, I was doing that.
There you go.
Yeah. All well.
I think, Gally, you done that well that you need to do it every week now for the pizza.
just have a random wheel stuff.
Yeah. Tiarnan, you can also use this wheel for your team selection next time. All right, who's starting where?
I'll try. Wouldn't be bad. Get first teamers down. Who we get this week, and we might get someone down. You know what I mean?
That's a good idea, actually. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Fair play. Lads, anything else to wrap up?
Supporters night.
But just talk the words out of your mouth, Steph. We'll cover the lads. Yeah, the 1903 has their supporters night coming up as well. So fair play to them. They've had a great season, kicking off the ground. They've been done Trojan work. But that's on Thursday night, is it, Steph?
Thursday the 14th.
Is it 14th or is
No,
it
the 10th. Is it?
Tell you now.
No, it started. No, I can't even know the date. After
Jeez,
you
I love
mentioned
you
it,
throw out these dates. See what happens here when I'm not around.
Yeah.
Always go off on rants. Nothing prepped here.
Chris's big A4 sheets of paper with notes on it. We just wing it.
I'm just going to mention as well, if I have mentioned before, Castle Bells in the Shield final there on Heading Game Park next Saturday.
Seamless plug there.
Are you the gaffer, Gally?
I'm not, no. I wouldn't know. They wouldn't be in the final if I was in charge of them.
Who looks after that
That's
team?
Dan
Thursday the 10th.
Leah Searle. We've two under 12 squads, and that's their Bells yellow. So Dan Pope and Leah Searle are the managers of that squad. Yeah, great wee team.
Congratulations and best of luck in the final. Good win today.
Good win today. Draw the girls. Yeah, good win today.
It's nothing better than beating the drugs. Get in there.
That's what I was saying.
It was 1-0. There was nothing in it. It's just a 1-0. Nothing in it.
I'm sure it's even better.
Yeah,
that's it.
Make it more horrible.
Jared just confirmed there, lads. Thursday the 10th.
Thursday the 10th. There we go. Cheers,
Jared.
Everybody get up there, have a pint, have a bit of crack.
Yeah.
There we go.
And you might have a few special guests on the night.
We might make an appearance. Might be there. It's the same with selling raffle tickets or something.
With Gally's wheel.
Yeah. Ended up on the laptop. Yeah, screen share.
Jared, so Gally and his wheel are available for any events, 21st, bar mitzvahs, anything. You can roll up at all of these. Right, lads, are we wrapping up?
Yeah, I think so. He's going to have to close the show on this one. He's been man the match tonight on the show.
To be fair, you've been running a pretty tight ship tonight. So
sure, you've had that. I knew you weren't going to be there, so I knew it was on earlier. I was even first on. That's
I logged in and he was on, and then I didn't even notice him at the start.
That's embarrassing for the rest of us, isn't it? We're out of a job next season.
Exactly. Right, Tiarnan, we'll give you the final line to see us out tonight.
So 2022, Stevie O'Donnell's back. Dundalk are back. Europe, watch out. Thanks very much.